Good morning. I'm your host Georgina Vijayawardena, and we are at a place to talk about a very peculiar business and the person behind it. It's always exciting to have a business opening, but it's always fascinating to know how this whole thing started. And when it comes to Sri Lankan authenticity, I can without a doubt say this person brought that authenticity to the global platform and made a name not only for him and his brother and the family, but for the brand itself in an area that everyone speaks about, but no one actually tapped in during those times. So without further ado, let me warmly welcome Shalin Balasuriya from Spa Ceylon. Hi, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to say, okay, without further ado, I can just say this word, the first name of the brand itself. If I say that, everyone knows. But I was like, okay, no, let me go with the whole intro. So, how are you?
Good, doing great.
How's the new year so far for you?
It's been fantastic. The brand's been growing, both in Sri Lanka and outside. Big plans for this year. Finally, COVID is behind us. Time to start looking to the future, get back to rolling on growth and really get the expansion going. And we're looking for big things this year.
Okay, so let me ask you the first question. Who is Shalin Balasuriya without the titles?
An authentically Sri Lankan guy who's very, very passionate about his home country, loves his rice and curry, loves a good time, and likes to be surrounded by friends and family.
That's a perfect answer. Okay, so exactly what was it that compelled you to do what you do, and what's the whole story behind Spa Ceylon? How did it begin?
So the birth of Spa Ceylon was in the mid-2000s. My brother and myself were running my mother's cosmetic business, which was Janet, which is a mass market cosmetic company in Sri Lanka. It was a time like this actually. The economy was not doing great. We had a civil war on. Not much was happening. We were young guys raring to go, and we realized that if we wanted to scale something, we had to look at something not only that worked here but could go international. So went out to the world, learned as much as we could, went to every industry fair, read every journal, looked at every piece of research in trying to figure out what we needed to do to create a brand that was truly international. We realized there were two things the industry was looking for at that stage. One was luxury across the board, whether it was not luxury, was no longer only a top tier item. People wanted luxury at every level. Yeah. And the other one was the world was going green. So seeing both of this, we also found this amazing potential in Ayurveda, a fairly untapped resource that Sri Lanka had a very rich history of over 5,000 years with, and that's where the thinking started, and we created this brand that incorporated the culture of Sri Lanka, Ayurveda, and brought it together with modern skin science, and the rest is history really.
I mean, now we have Spa Ceylon.
Absolutely. So we are now in 27 countries, over 126 locations, and growing.
So what do you say now when people ask you how you started out as a brand or a leader in the market?
Well, if I were to like encapsulate it into one sentence, I would say very, very strategically, because that's how we went about it. We knew we wanted to create a brand that would go international, and we looked at what it took to create such a brand. So we looked at the international climate, we looked at consumer trends, and then we looked at what resources were available to us, and we bridged the two in a way that was unique and authentic, because in today's market, where there's a convergence of brands from around the world, at a click of button, you need to be unique and authentic to stand out, and so that's what we did.
So when was the last time you took a stand that cost you something?
I think as entrepreneurs, we almost on a daily basis we take a stand on different things. It could be something as simple as choosing one product range over another, choosing one formulation over another, choosing one design over another, choosing how we spend our time, choosing what causes we support. Everything is a decision and should be taken mindfully. At the same time, you're going to make some mistakes from time to time. I think attitude is what's important, and realizing that decisions need to be made, wrong decisions will be taken, but how do you recover from it and move to the next one? So all the time really.
Every single time. Okay, so this is a huge question that I have written down.
Okay.
So let me read it. Let's bring the reality check to the story. So we often as people like to relate ourselves with others that we see as superhumans or heroes. That's why we like to see Superman's Clark Kent side, because we can relate to him on the side of that world, not as a hero, but as a human person who's working daily and the career part and all that. So my question to you is, what were the failures and flops that you had to face, the adversity you faced while building up your journey throughout day and night, and what made you human, and how did you overcome all these failures and became the leader that produced the product that is called Spa Ceylon?
See, I think the biggest problem we had was perception. One is that we wanted to make a luxury brand out of Ayurveda, and people told us we were mad, that this is a Vedamark, there's poor man's medicine, this will never be luxury. Number two, coming out of Sri Lanka, when you went out to the world, half the people didn't know where Sri Lanka was. We were having a conversation earlier. I remember a lady at a beauty show in Vegas asking if we ride elephants. So this is the kind of perception they had of the country, and to go out and say, you know what, we make international quality beauty and personal care together with natural ingredients and get them to take us seriously. I mean, it took a while, and we kind of carried a chip on our shoulder as well, saying like, oh, here we are from this little island, are people going to take us seriously? But I think with a lot of support from each other, from my brother and myself, and our families and the business at large, we became almost immune to that kind of negativity, and saw potential in what we were building, and realized that if we executed well enough and we continue to execute well enough consistently, that we had everything the world needed to be a successful international brand. So a lot of self-belief, a lot of support from family, friends and people around us, and a lot of strategic thinking and planning, because you can't depend on luck. Everything has to be structured, planned. It's one step at a time, one brick at a time you build up, and keeping a positive attitude, a positive mind frame, and always continuing with a attitude of learning. Really, we continue to learn a lot. If you've seen how Spa Ceylon's evolved over the last 10-12 years, you've seen the brand has also changed and grown a lot as well. So that, I think, attitude is the most important thing. Being humble enough to learn from anyone, continuing to keep learning and growing and evolving. That's the best way to kick off all the negativity and anything you feel that holds you back, or any failures that you come across along the way.
So were there any times that you wanted to give up, felt like you can't hold on, and you met with an endless impasses or a barrier that felt like never ending?
Not times that we thought of giving up, but there were tough times. The COVID was one of them, where the brand was doing exceedingly well, and suddenly the whole world came to a stop, and you stop and think, wow, we were going so well and we were on such a trajectory, what a loss. And that would have been maybe a day, maybe a couple of days, where we dropped our shoulders and thought, oh, we were going so well, what is this going to do to us? But next day we were up and said, okay, we need to be agile. How do we change? How do we service our customers now? How do we change the way we present the brand? Got up and made it happen, and next thing you know, we were up and running again. So I think it all comes down to attitude and how you face the challenges the world throws at you.
So basically it's about how you take the negativity and turning it into something positivity out of it.
Absolutely, you can't ignore it. Ignoring it is not the way to go about it, but you understand it, see what of the negativity, what has merit, what doesn't, and then you plan. Okay, this is your stumbling block, this is the wall in front of you, this is the hurdle in front of you. How do you now surpass that? And there isn't anything you can't overcome if you plan properly, and it's like I said, it's one little layer at a time, and next thing you know, you're over it.
So how do you define success? What is the word success holds to you?
Joy. The absolute end goal is joy. It's the pursuit of joy, and however that comes to you, it's not money, it's not fame, but joy. So for different people, joy means different things. For different people, the journey towards that joy is different, but that is the ultimate goal.
Okay, so the next question is, what's the one thing you would tell your younger version if you get a chance?
Well, ideally nothing, because I wouldn't change anything. That being said, look, I've had ups and downs like any young person, but I think that's what made me who I am.
Yeah.
So probably nothing, but maybe, hang on, both my parents have passed away, so maybe spend more time with your parents.
So then you won't be missing them a lot.
There you go.
I mean, I get that because my dad passed away as well ages ago, but I wish during those times, if I would have spent more time, then I would. Yes.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you regret in your life, turning back and looking at?
Absolutely not. Again, going back, maybe if at all, my parents are way older, so maybe if at all, not spending as much time as I could have with my parents. But other than that, no, because I think everything's been experienced. Everything I've done and not done has made me who I am today, which is a good place to be.
10 years from now, where do you see yourself?
10 years from now, I would like to see myself happy.
Are you a happy soul now?
Absolutely.
Are you a satisfied soul now?
Satisfied to an extent. I think if you come to that perfect level of satisfaction, then all ambition and all that goes out the window. I'm still ambitious. There are still things I want to make happen. As long as I can make that happen with joy being the end result, that's the way I'll go about it. So not completely satisfied, but happy, yes.
Okay, so this conversation happened between us during the off-camera part.
Yep.
You said if you go after money, you can't be satisfied because you always want more and more and more. And if you go after something else, it's the same thing. But if you go after joy, if you're joyful, that's it.
That's it.
So what's the advice that you would give to the youngsters who wants to make a living out of their own passion and achieve their goals, achieve their dreams without?
See, there are two sides to this, right? One is if you can make a living out of your passion, fabulous, right? And that should be the end goal. But from day one, most often you can't make a living out of your passion, and you need to realize that there are certain basic needs you need, which means you're going to need an income. How are you going to handle that, right? So on one side, yes, your end goal is joy, but that doesn't mean from day one you get to do only things that make you happy. You need to work up to it because you're responsible for yourself, you're responsible for family around you, and living in this world does cost money, health, all that. So there is a certain responsibility around it, so you have to be intelligent how you go about it. There's this concept called ikigai, which is an ideal state. If you can do something that makes you happy or you're passionate about, if it satisfies the world in some way and someone's willing to pay you for it, where those three things intersect is the perfect position. That is your ikigai. If you can get there, fantastic. But at 20 something or 16 or 18, 19, you may not get there. Don't worry about it. Work up to getting there. Sometimes you have to do other things to get to the point where you can do the thing you love. Do that. But be thoughtful in the way you approach life, and make joy the ultimate goal. That being said, you're not going to be happy all the time.
Okay, so my last question to you is, we've seen so many people like CEO from Google, he has a particular habit of waking up early in the morning and reading the physical paper from first to the last page and having his tea. And Tim Cook wakes up early in the morning doing his jogging as a habit for the daily routine and all that. Do you have some sort of a habit doing like that?
Nothing extraordinary. I mean, I have my days I wake up, I'll go to gym. I have my days I wake up and go play tennis. I communicate with everyone else on different platforms. I don't think I have anything that's exemplary enough for someone to follow. But again, you need to find what works for you. It's perfect for people to, I mean, there are some corporate leaders now, preaching, why are you sleeping 8 hours a day? How can you
Yeah.
be successful if you sleep there? You're wasting most of your life. It's rubbish, right? If you don't, your central nervous system doesn't function at its peak if you don't get enough rest.
Yeah.
So please sleep. Then there's the things like, oh, you have to wake up in the morning for your peak energy. No, some people have peak energy later at
Yeah.
night. When I was a student, I did far better work later at night than at morning. So you need to find what works for you.
Yeah.
You also need to be careful what great advice you follow. There are lots of people out there preaching this hustle life and get it done, and you need to work to the bone and all that. Fantastic, but see how it works for you, right?
Work
Because
smarter.
your health and well-being is very, very important. We are human beings. We are very connected people. Human beings, the people around them just fade away. So it's important. Family is important. Friends are important. Relationships are important. So when you choose your profession, when you choose what you do, make sure you are not sacrificing that, and you're not sacrificing your health and well-being, because what good is all the success in the world if you're dead?
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. You need to enjoy your success.
What's good is all the success in the world if you're dead? What good is all the success in the world if you have no one to share it with? So be mindful of that we're human beings at the end of the day, and go about your life thoughtfully.
Well, Shalin, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
So we hope that you tune in with us for more inspiring stories like this, because who knows, someday you might be the person sitting across the camera right here and giving us the insights to your founder story. Have a nice day.